was supposed to be the perfect getaway. Two best friends, Ethan and Mark, had been planning this camping trip for months. A weekend away from the chaos of city life, surrounded by nothing but the whispers of the wind and the towering trees of the abandoned mountain hill. They set up their tent as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the thick forest. The eerie silence was broken only by the occasional rustling of leaves and distant hoots of an owl. They shared ghost stories over a crackling fire, laughing at each other's paranoia, until fatigue pulled them into the safety of their tent. Hours passed. The moon, a pale guardian, hung high above the skeletal branches. Then, in the dead of night, something stirred outside their tent. A faint shuffling noise. Ethan's eyes snapped open. His breath hitched in his throat. He turned his head slightly and saw Mark was awake too, his wide eyes gleaming in the darkness. Neither spoke, their ears straining to make sense of the sound. Maybe it was a small animal, a fox or a raccoon scavenging for food. Then a shadow fell against their tent, long, slender, and disturbingly still. It stretched across the thin fabric, warped by the dim light of the moon. A chill ran down their spines. It wasn't the shape of any animal. It looked like a woman, but impossibly tall. Mark reached for his phone with slow, deliberate movements, his fingers trembling. He barely dared to breathe. Ethan mouthed a single word. "Don't." The figure didn't move. Then, a sudden heart-stopping sound. A dog's mournful wail right next to their tent. The cry was agonizing, a sorrowful, unnatural sound that sent a wave of unease coursing through them. It didn't belong here. They hadn't seen a single dog when they hiked up the mountain. Mark clutched Ethan's wrist, his nails digging in. "What the hell?" he mouthed. Another sound, a whimper, a desperate plea. It was so close, as if the dog was pressing against the tent's fabric. But something was off. The sound was distorted. It started as a canine cry but twisted into something else. A rasping, garbled mimicry like someone or something was trying to imitate a dog's whimper but failing. The wail stretched unnaturally long, fading into an unsettling silence. The shadow moved. Slowly, deliberately, it shifted, elongating further, its head tilting in an unnatural, jerky motion. Ethan and Mark squeezed their eyes shut, willing themselves to be invisible, to disappear into the darkness. Their lungs burned from holding their breath. A faint scratching sound started at the base of their tent. It moved in slow, deliberate circles, as if whatever was out there was feeling its way around, mapping its prey. The sound of nails, long, sharp, too precise to be human, dragged against the fabric. Then came the voice. "Let me in." A whisper, a dry, cracked, inhuman whisper, a sound that sent ice down their spines, hollow and empty, devoid of any real emotion. They didn't move. The tent zipper twitched, just the faintest tug, then another. Ethan's mind screamed, "Don't open it," but his body was frozen in place. The presence outside the tent lingered for what felt like an eternity. Then, as suddenly as it had come, it stopped. Silence. No footsteps. No rustling. Nothing. Minutes stretched on. The friends barely dared to breathe. Slowly, cautiously, Mark reached for his phone, his fingers hovering over the flashlight. He clicked it on. The tent illuminated in a harsh glow. The shadow was inside with them. A long, stretched face, black, hollow eyes, a grin too wide for a human mouth. It stood, hunched, twisted, mere inches from their faces. And then, everything went dark. The next morning, hikers found the tent. The fabric was torn open from the inside, claw marks gouged deep into the earth. Ethan and Mark were gone. Only their phones remained, screens cracked, still recording. The last thing heard before the recording cut off was a single distorted whisper. "Let me in."